Explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. Another terrific Thursday's edition of Talk Today. We got 2 days ahead, right, Miss Susan? Did you catch that? It's only Tuesday. You see? I said Thursday. Are you paying attention? Whatever happens in school sometimes, the teachers catch us out. You remember, read all the instructions. So we're going to invite you to pay special attention because our first guest is going to be from Health City. We're going to honorary doctorate, Dr. Shamari. Nah, good Shamari joins us and Dr. Mohanty. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard. And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back, and we're going to try hard not to focus on, basketball, a thing which some of us used to play, some of us wish we could.
Hey, I still play, right? So
some of us should not.
The over 40 league, we just won the over 40 league,
Congratulations,
so, Mr. Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks. We won the over 40 league. Many torn ligaments and sore knees and sore ankles and such later. The first under 12, then became under 14, then become under 16 national team. We all got back together many years ago, And then in 2000, they had the first over 40 that we participated in, and we won. And then they took a hiatus, and the second one came around 4 years later. But we're saying you can't, listen, you all need to have this on an annual basis, because if we were to wait another 4 years, then we might be over 50, and I don't know if we want to be out there playing at over 50. So we won. Okay, so thank you very much.
Listen, don't knock it till you get there, man. 50 is a new 40.
Oh, okay. You already hit 50, I take it.
You can't tell, right?
No, you can't tell.
It looks good, man.
Can't tell.
And this is why I think in our discussion today, instead of reconstructive surgery in terms of aesthetics, we should be talking about maybe gerontology and
For you.
I didn't say for who. All right. Well, before we invite Dr. Mahan to join us, Shamari, would you want to do the honors? I'm thinking, that wonderful aesthetic that I have, that is this handsome, charming face, is probably
I used to say you have the perfect face for radio.
I know,
but now they're streaming it, so I can't even say that anymore. But
I have a voice nonetheless.
Yes. So Sterling, it's great to be here as always, and I know we have, whether it's a month or 2 months or 3 months in between, actually coming to speak to you. But it's always a pleasure to be here, even though I still have to sit here and look at you. It's always a pleasure to be here, and we're jovial just because we're friends from a long time ago. But it's exciting times at Health City. Exciting times because we're going to have a new hospital right there, Health City at Camana Bay.
Right in West Bay.
Right there, close to West Bay. I know you want to claim that portion, right?
Oh, no.
Okay. So we're going to be there, and we're actually having our inauguration July 11th. But there's going to be a month in between before we take our first patient, so that we can get, distinguished individuals like yourself to come and have a tour, as well as, primary school children, Obviously school will be out, but we'll reach out to as many people as possible. They'll get to see the inside of what a hospital actually looks like before we get it up and going, because after then obviously there's certain segments of the hospital that will be off limits. At that new hospital, we'll have everything that we offer at Health City in East End, we'll offer at Health City in Cayman Bay. But in addition to that, we're going to have obviously the radiotherapy from a cancer care perspective, neonatology. We call them $1 million babies from the Caribbean when they have to go intensive care and the such. In the U.S., from a neonate perspective, it's like $1 million baseline. We're going to be a fraction of that cost to be a solution not only for obviously the Cayman Islands, but also for the wider Caribbean, LATAM, and anywhere else that would want to take advantage of that. We're going to have bone marrow transplant, our Da Vinci machine, which is the robot that gives you even more precision and the such. That machine is going to be at our Cayman Bay location. And to round it out, we're always trying to fill gaps within the local medical infrastructure here in Cayman. And without further ado, that's why we have Dr. Lisa Mohanty, who is here with us. She has over a decade of experience. She's a consultant when it comes to plastic surgery and reconstructive surgery. The great thing about Health City is when we're looking towards what we're going to offer, we always get the best of the best from India. Even within the U.S., there was a statistic that was talking about, and I can't remember if it was general practice or anesthesia, that 40% of U.S. physicians now are either first generation or second generation Indians, right? From India. So, we have a facility, Narayana, that has over 40 units and embedded units, and we bring the best of physicians from Narayana as well as outside to be a part of this Cayman Islands fabric that we have here. We have the highest quality of outcomes, and we want to make sure that we keep that moving forward. And Dr. Mohanty is here from a plastic surgery perspective, but also when you have certain instances and you need reconstruction, Dr. Mohanty is here to fulfill, right, the process of everything else that we actually do. And without further ado, I will introduce you to Dr. Mohanty.
Well, thank you. And welcome aboard, not just to Radio Cayman for our Talk Today show, but to Cayman. How are you?
I'm good.
Despite having to be with Shamari, how are you? You can talk to me honestly. It's okay.
I'm good, and thanks for having me here today. So, I'm Dr. Lisa Mohanty, and I'm a plastic surgeon. So, I do both aspects of plastic surgery. That is reconstructive as well as the cosmetic part of it. So, what are we discussing here today anyways?
Yeah, well, we're going to go because one of the things, and this is where earlier we were talking about, reconstructive and the cosmetic, and many times maybe will be so much the general from the layman's perspective would think of plastic surgery and think of cosmetic only, and not understanding that they're probably the reconstructive part. So through you, maybe we can talk a little bit about the cosmetic, what that would look. Would it be augmentation? Would it be other things? But also the reconstructive element, and when that would come into play. Share with us.
So as I said earlier, the plastic surgery is basically two major parts. That is, one is reconstructive and one is cosmetic. So cosmetic is something where a person wants to change his appearance or look a little different or have something augmented or uncertain thing. That's there is no disease or there is no illness, but they want to get that thing done. So it can be anything. It can be breast reduction, it can be breast augmentation, it can be a liposuction, it can be a tummy tuck, anything to do with face like a nose job, a lip job, anything. So these covers the cosmetic part of it. Okay. But a bigger part of plastic surgery is the reconstructive surgery. So reconstructive surgery is something which is done to replace a part of the body, like whether it is a defect from a cancer or some illness or say an accident. So to make it look back the function and the appearance of that is the reconstructive part. Say for example you are got a birth defect, like say a cleft lip, a cleft palate, that comes under reconstructive. Say you have a cancer, breast cancer, we after it is removed, to reconstruct it is the reconstructive part of plastic surgery, to reconstruct the breast back on. And any kind of trauma, say a face fracture, leg wound, a leg injury, those comes under them. And any kinds of like smaller skin cancers, all these stuffs come under the reconstructive plastic surgery.
So with respect to a skin cancer, there's a scarring, for instance, and the
Yes.
person sees
Yes.
that would be...
That's a controversial because if you want an improvement in the scar, that again comes under cosmetic.
Right.
But yes, if you want the operation done with the initial part to be a scar, less scar, that will go under reconstructive.
And then as we go into the break, let me then ask, to Shamari's point, we were talking about basketball and injuries, and it's seen the orthopedic. So the orthopedic surgeon comes in and does something with the knee, the shoulder, whichever. That's orthopedics, or would there be an aspect for the reconstructive surgery?
So, suppose there is a wound in the leg and the orthopedics is operating on the bone part of it, but they are not able to replace the rest of the part, the muscles or the skin on it. That's where my role comes in. So it has to be a multidisciplinary thing.
Right.
So two surgeons, orthopedic and the plastic surgeon is needed there.
Together at the same time,
Same,
potentially?
same.
The orthopedic comes in, fixes the
Bone part, and if required to give a cover, then they will call for the plastic surgeon.
Right. And I appreciate that because sometimes, again, we hear plastic surgery, cosmetic
Yes.
only. I mean, Shamar, I was thinking about cosmetic surgery. Before we go to the break, Shamar, I mean, you're my consultant. What would you do to improve this handsome face?
Well, there's nothing we can do about the face. So the hair transplant is something that,
I should have been
potentially.
earlier.
Earlier, Dr. Mahanta said, so sorry,
So,
you need a little bit
but
to be able to give
hang
you
on,
more.
You're jumping ahead. What I'm hearing you say, there's nothing to improve. So we can improve on perfection. I thank
that's
you.
exactly what I meant.
That's what I'm hearing you say.
That's exactly what I did.
All right. Well, no, all jokes aside, when we come back, I really appreciate Dr. Mahanta, you being here, and Shamari allowing us through this opportunity to share with the public, get us to appreciate what we have available, how accessible it is. We talked about the $6 million man with Lee Majors way back when. Now you're talking about the $1 million babies as a fraction. So that service is invaluable to the wider region. But then for the Cayman community, with respect to plastic surgery, whether it's reconstructive or cosmetic, how much of it is elective? How much of it is navigating the pathways through insurance? What are some of the procedures? Can we talk a lot about that when we come back? All right. Hey, stay tuned. Susan is right there, man. If you want to hear a pleasant voice, you just dial 949-6990. She'll answer. She'll pass you through the normal. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet. Because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Boddentown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Are you ready to step into the future? Digicell's super-fast 5G network is here. Experience more lightning-fast speeds, more seamless connectivity, and more possibilities available with all Digicell bundles. Whether you're streaming, gaming, or working, our 5G technology takes your experience to a whole new level. The future is here. Visit any of our stores today and join Cayman's super-fast 5G network. Digicell. Better connected.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us, and thanks to Shamari Scott. Not just a chance to reminisce about the days when you used to watch him dribble. With the basketball, okay? Not when he was that much younger. Just so Joel is listening, because Joel's going to be listening.
I know Joel's listening, and I must tell him, Joel, congratulations. I know you've been waiting a long time to see Boston Celtics win again. So congratulations that you finally got another one. But don't worry, the Lakers will win 2 in succession to retake that title of the most championships for any NBA team. So
there's a part of me that want to put a joke in there, but let's leave it.
Let
you guys live in.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Let you all live in your fantasy land.
But I know where we left off, and the great thing that Dr. Mohanty was speaking about was the fact that when there are other procedures, plastic surgeon for reconstruction is needed at certain points in time, and that's why the multidisciplinary approach that we have, it gives the best outcomes. For regardless what the ailment actually is, because we have so many different specialists across the various spectrums that they all come together, they all review cases together in order to get the different aspects to give the best possible pathway towards getting that patient better. And whether it's car accidents and the such, at some point in time, it'll be important to have reconstructive surgery, to have plastic surgery. And I know a lot of times people just automatically think cosmetic, but regular hardcore plastic reconstructive surgery is so important with so many different types of procedures. That's why we're very, very honored to have Dr. Mohanty here with us, because even in previous instances, I don't know if you would remember the heart outside the chest, the little boy that we would have done that surgery many, many years ago. We had to fly in a plastic surgeon to be able to do the work of putting the chest wall back together from a skin perspective and as such, after Dr. Benoit obviously would have done what he would have done to put that heart right back inside of the chest as well. And there's so many other instances whereby we had to bring in plastic surgeons to make sure that we did the best job possible. Having Dr. Mohanty's skill set here, especially when we're in Camana Bay and we know we're going to see a lot more cases, just 70% of the population lives in that area, as well as 95% are in that area during the work day. We definitely knew we needed this additional skill set here permanently throughout the days, and that's why we're extremely pleased to have Dr. Mohanty here with us.
Yeah, I think I share in you that it bodes well for the Cayman context. For me, just as a prospective patient, but just as a citizen in the country, to know that the well-being of our people, the true sort of infrastructure development, the true pillars healthcare and education, and having that in a relatively small, geographically speaking, small space, population-wise, yes, we may think there are too many cars, too many people driving cars, but it's still relatively small. Some of us have worked for companies that have 1 million employees and we don't have 100,000, but have that skill set. So with that in mind, Dr. Mohanty, as we talk about plastic surgery and reconstructive aspect, before Shamari referenced about that whole issue with the, Dr. Benoit, the heart outside the chest. I mean, that was newsworthy across the region. I was thinking about someone, God forbid, who has an injury with a limb, hand, foot, and it's mangled. And a plastic surgeon, we don't always think of that aspect, but we understand the reconstructive part. Would you come into play in that aspect?
Yes, a mangled limb, when it comes without a plastic surgeon, there is only one option, just to amputate it. That's it. With the plastic surgeon around, if the bone is fixable, then we can give it a muscle cover and a skin cover, or like a flap or something to make it survive. And reconstruct it back, like not be the God given, but yes, something so that the man can like stand on his feet or walk or whatever.
Have some use of that limb. I was trying to think, and there were a couple of classes that I didn't pay much attention in. Biology was one of those for some reason. But just remembering the basics, there's the bone and there's words like ligaments and tendons and all these other things that go on.
That's the base, the bone, the ligaments, and then comes on top of it the muscle, then comes the subcutaneous tissue, and then comes the skin. So all these layers by layers has to be reconstructed so that for it to survive. And the blood supply has to be reconnected so that the part gets blood supply from it.
Yeah. As you say now, picturing my father taking rope and splicing it and bringing it back together so he's strong.
It's a jigsaw puzzle which has to be solved by us. That's kind of thing like that.
Yeah, similar, right? And to have that, I would imagine here, as opposed to someone who may have to travel a distance, air ambulance or otherwise, that time could be
very crucial. When you have a multidisciplinary action, or like the trauma cases which come, and you have somebody to take care of his like the ICU part, and then the orthopedics is there, then the plastic surgeon is there, and the medicine or the super specialities are there, then it can be handled at this center alone. Otherwise, we need an air ambulance to fly him, and we waste a lot of time in doing that and stabilizing him and all that stuff. So it takes.
Yeah, it's not just the cost and the logistics of the time, but the idea that this person has to potentially be moved if the person can be moved. Then there's the recovery, and so having that now. Shamari, man.
So the interesting part, when Dr. Ravi would come on, he would say time is muscle, and Dr. Ramnesh would say time is brain, right? So I'm also thinking of for Dr. Mohanty, time is limb as well, right? So
the marketer one.
These are the emergencies.
So definitely one of the advantages of Health City being here is that we've since we've come, and obviously being a tertiary care facility, we've been offering higher levels of care, whether it was, we had the first cath lab, right? So when somebody would have a heart attack previously, you would need to do as best as possible until you could get them on an air ambulance. And with the advent of all of that time, if the person did survive, the quality of life wouldn't be as good as if you're able to intervene right away. So as you can imagine, with trauma cases and such, a lot of times prior to having a Dr. Mohanty, you may have to amputate and think of the life after that, whereas in certain instances you may not need to amputate, and you can actually have a plastic surgeon with the orthopedist and the other doctors there to be able to save limbs and that quality of life thereafter as well. So prior to Health City being here, people didn't think about it just because it wasn't here, but now that we are here, we continue to make sure that we're offering the best level of service possible, not only to save lives, but for quality of life. Okay. A lot of times people think about the saving of the life, which obviously is paramount, but at times you may save a life, but if you didn't have a multidisciplinary approach and the physicians to help, the quality of life may not be as good as it would have been, if you have those physicians there. And that's why Dr. Mohanty is going to be able to more or less fulfill that full, well-rounded view of patients from a trauma perspective as well as from other types of elective surgery that you need plastic surgeon to make sure that quality of life, well, also it's medically necessary, but quality of life also as good as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dr.
As
Manda?
simple as a diabetic foot, how to take care of it, if there is a small wound, how to manage it, all those also comes under plastic surgery as such, if like a wound specialist. So that.
I was just going to ask, because as you were talking amputation, I'm thinking diabetes, and many times limbs, maybe one digit and then eventually it goes, and where does diabetes play in reconstructive? So I'm glad that you were able to reference that. There's a psychological aspect as well.
Yes. So the initially the diabetes patient to know how to manage. They usually don't have that sensation there. They keep on walking. They will get a bleb there, which goes on to become infected. They leave it open, and it continues, and it lands up in a below-knee amputation sometimes. We have seen cases like this. So just to cut the nip at the bud, like starting, when we see a wound, give the wound management, the care that is required, and then we save it.
Instead of amputation, you might be able to save if you catch it in time.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, let's pause. And then I was asking earlier, maybe when we come back, how do we access the services? Because some would look at cosmetic as being, I use the word elective in terms of something optional you may want to do. Is it, and when is it not elective, cosmetic otherwise? And then the reconstructive aspect, to what extent, cost, insurance, accessibility, and other things. And finally, in that aspect, if someone is listening now and they have something, a deformity, an old injury, is that something that they can, or is it has to be something that has happened, quite recently? So old injuries. Could we talk about those three things when we come back? Shamar, are you making notes to make sure we cover the bases, right?
Well, as always.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, we invite you to rejoin us.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
It's game time, Subway fans. We're upping our sub game with the Subway Series menu, an all-star lineup of 6 delicious recipes. Just order by name or number and we'll do the rest. Whether you're catching a quick lunch or just need a tasty victory, the Subway Series menu is coming in clutch. Subway Series, easy to order, hard to resist. Try it today, only at Subway. Eat fresh.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
We were set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Brit Gay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Shamar Scott and Dr. Lisa Mohante as we talk about, reconstructive and cosmetic surgery. So generally that would be all plastic surgery?
Yes, all is plastic surgery. So as I said, it is divided again like reconstructive and cosmetic, two major parts. So surgeon chooses which one to do and what to do.
Right.
But yes, all comes under plastic surgery.
And if I was listening and understood what you were sharing, a patient could come in for a reconstructive aspect that is medically necessary, but at the same time, while that is happening, they could also have some of the cosmetic to make the thing look a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Good appearance or something. That is cosmetic surgery, basically.
We thought we asked three things. Let's see if we remember. Let's start with the last one. A person has an old injury.
Yes.
And they want to get it checked out, reconstructive, cosmetic, or otherwise.
Yes,
is that possible?
Yes. So there are injuries are acute and chronic. So like somebody got a burn as a kid, and that thing has the scar has contracted, is causing some difficulty in some kind of work for him or her. So those they come for a consultation, and we give them. It is possible to reconstruct. But what and how much, that is only after a consultation I'll be able to delineate that.
Would that consultation, just generally speaking, require any sort of diagnostic testing, whether blood, imaging, or is it just
Maybe imaging. Blood parameters and other things comes only when we decide on to operate on it. Imaging will actually give us a idea of what can be done and how to proceed about it. So all those for the first consultation, it is usually like what can be offered to the person.
And I'm glad you shared that, because many of us sometimes would think, I need to take blood, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
And we already
only if a person chooses for surgery, or if that illness or something is caused by some blood parameters, then only we go for the blood test, otherwise not then.
And I appreciate your reference to a burn. We can see that may have affected the person in so many ways, including just how they see themselves, how they may limit their movements, what they may wear because they're conscious. But what if the injury is, and again, guide me, because I did, unfortunately, not pay attention to biology.
Not basketball.
See? She's catching on.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Talking too much in Mr. Tyler's class.
Yeah. No. I had Mr. Murray, man. But see, now you're making me think back to good days, man. Now, the best class in school was economics. Yeah, that was right, Shamari?
Well, I didn't have economics. I had principles of business. So I didn't have economics when I took economics in sixth form. So that was.
But see, it was best class.
Mr. Wood, best class ever.
See,
yeah.
See, the politician, he goes yes.
Yeah, best class, best class.
So with that, what if that injury is internal, a muscle, and it needs some sort of reconstruction? But it's an old injury. A person was playing a sport, may have had some sort of accident or the like. Could that still be similar to the burn and the skin? And
yes. Maybe if there was a muscle injury or muscle necrosis is going on or something, then imaging might show us, or then only we can decide on what reconstruction or what is a problem it is causing to the person right now. Accordingly,
Right. So the reason why I asked that is sort of preparing for today's discussion. And one of the reasons I enjoy this, I get to learn, I get to ask people. Some people say, what's coming on? And I'll share, and they give me ideas to ask. And many times we don't appreciate that no matter how intelligent we may be as marketers or accountants or lawyers, when it comes to medicine, we feel... a little bit.
Yeah, that's the truth. As I said, even the diabetes, small wounds, you'd never know where it is going and all. As simple as when we cut our nails, if it goes in and it causes a lot of abscess, finger abscess that comes up again. So
Yeah.
not many a person knows how that it can happen. So similarly, a lot of things in.
All right. And with that, a discussion that we had earlier, as I was coming across, it sort of sparked me to ask you. We have, as a potential patient, an issue that is bugging us. We notice movement of the arm, the limb isn't, but we've been seeing our physician. Could it be that we're not going to the right physician? We're seeing the specialist for orthopedics, we're seeing the specialist for everything. We're doing physio, we're doing these things. But it may be that we need a reconstructive surgery with a plastic surgeon. Could that?
Maybe. Not until I see something like that. It is difficult to say what is it and what is not. Usually, that's what I said. When a person sees, the GP sees that this is what it is, and they usually get to know that this can be dealt by the plastic surgeon, and I will send it forward, whatever it is.
And that brings us to where we were thinking of, again, for whatever reasons, maybe it's the foolish television that we all watch too much and we just see the cosmetic nonsense,
Yes,
right?
that's how it is advertised.
Yeah.
That's the part.
So is it our GP then? So if we wanted to see you as a plastic surgeon for this thing that's been bothering us.
If you know yourself, then it's well and fine that, you have heard me on the radio that the doctor said, the nail is done this way, then I should meet her. Then they come to me directly, that's all good and enough. But something which they don't understand, maybe their initial doctor can help. This can be dealt by a plastic surgeon, and you go to this plastic surgeon for this reason.
And breast reduction,
Yes.
just to touch on that shortly. So Dr. Mohanty also does breast reduction, and you know that if you have medical ailments as well, back pain and the such, insurance will more or less cover based on medical need. But just wanted to make sure that our listening audience also understand that from a breast reduction perspective, we're also able to offer that through Dr. Mohanty as
Breast reduction, patient requiring a breast reduction may not understand that is what is causing the neck pain, the back pain, and she has been going to all the orthopedicians, all the neurosurgeons, everyone, in fact, in the GP, and being on a painkiller, but nothing is getting dealt with. So it's because the heavy breasts are causing the major shoulder pain, neck pain, and all that. So that's what a simple breast reduction will help those ailments. So that's the thing. What and when to know is how to know where to reach.
Yeah, and I appreciate sharing, because that was the last thing I wanted to ask about. Many of us have issues that we're not quite sure how they're related. We've been seeing physicians, and it's in a sense,
even
maybe
male. Sometimes the young teenager males, they have big breasts. They don't know. They are ashamed to ask what has to be done with that. Then that is called a gynecomastia. That can be handled by a plastic surgeon. Reduction for male breasts. So it doesn't strike to your mind as such, this can be done by a plastic surgeon. There are a lot of areas. I'll need a number of shows for that, I guess.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have more shows to talk about it, because that education does two things. It may encourage students into other areas, especially into the science, into medicine. But we as a populace may understand, hey, the thing that we've been ignoring because we are a bit sensitive to it, ashamed of it. Now we understand what it is, and that there is assistance to hand.
And Dr. I was about to call you Dr. Sterling.
Sounds good though.
and Sterling, just like we were saying, and Dr. Mohanty was saying, if there is an issue that you're unsure of as well, you can reach out to us directly. And we have the Dr. Sandeeps and the Dr. Taruns that would be able to have a look at you to understand the symptoms, and then would be able to refer you to the best doctor, or they may potentially be able to help with the issue as well.
Right.
So never feel that if you have an issue that you can't reach out to Health City 640-4040 or info@healthcity.ky, and we'll be able to get you to the right physician. And if that physician sees this isn't his area of expertise, his or hers, they'll be able to definitely get you to who would be able to best help.
Okay.
We do take queries, I guess. Keep on receiving queries that, can you do this surgery? Is this done in Health City? So that is another way.
And then because I know many times, like for instance, to see Ms. Faith Gill and her team over at HSA, for instance, for speech pathology, hope I had said that correctly, you need to get a referral. And some physicians, you need a referral. So to see you as a plastic surgeon, would we need a referral from either your colleagues or GPs normally, or can we just go straight?
No, you can come straight to me. Then for referrals is not required for that. For the insurance and all those will be required, but not
for Seneco, referral is needed, especially just because of the way that works. But for private insurance, you once it's medically indicated, then you won't need a referral from anyone else.
With those things you just shared, I'm thinking as we close our discussion to that lady who may have, back pain. I don't want to say chronic back pain, but persistent, and it could be,
if she has big breasts, then she should take into consideration that it can be due to that.
Have a chat with you to see if that is
a single consultation, and then it's her choice to whether to go for the surgery. But it is her we give her the information. Okay, this can happen because of this.
Right, and then to that, a teenage male who may be conscious.
Yeah, of bigger breasts because they get teased because of male breasts, and so
that'll help them to understand. Shamar, you referenced it about 4 times, quality of life, and that's what we're trying to ensure that the populace has access to. That is not something that affects us now, and 40 years from now we're still dealing with it. And as much as we joke and jest about everything from politics to basketball, it's always a pleasure to welcome you.
Always good to be here, and always good to see you. And you were running for a few months because you had somebody subbing for you, but I noticed you've been here the last 2 times.
Yeah. Listen, man, I'm so grateful to Miss Norma Paulette for allowing me to take a couple of days off. And they give me the options, and I say, which day Shamari come in? And I say, that's the days I'm off.
You see? the politicians.
See the laugh? Look at it.
Because you know it's not true. So.
No, man. It's a pleasure. And in closing, Dr. Manu, thank you so much to you and your team for your diligence, and to every physician who gives such dedication. Any closing thoughts you may want to share with the listeners?
As thoughts?
Not sure.
Okay. No, just that if anything piqued your interest, or if you're having an ailment that you heard from the program, contact us directly. If you think you need to speak to Dr. Mohanty, request her directly, or you can just send it to info@healthcity.ky, and we'll make sure that it gets through to her, or call us at 640-4040. And just from a Health City perspective, we're over the moon that we now have Dr. Mohanty here with us since January, and hope to have her for many, many, many years, just because it helps to fulfill the totality of what we're offering at Health City.
Well, thanks very much for coming in, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Please enjoy your stay with us. I trust that you'll.
And there's an over 50 football league that's coming out, so I'll circle you, so I can coach, but you'll be able to play, right? Sterling?
Susan, can you get the security to have this fella removed, please? Don't worry, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
And then when you get 50, I hope you look as good as me at 60.
Hey. I just had my 16th annual 30th birthday, so I don't think I'll be reaching 50 at a time.
There you
soon,
go. There you go, man. And between us, we could probably see Dr. Mohanty. Get a little bit of...
I can lend you some hair for the hair transplants.
Some Botox or some fillers.
Some fillers? Dang. You know what? With that, let's take a break. Join us after.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. A new incinerator is in full operation to process the biohazardous waste generated in the Sister Islands. Located in Cayman Brac Landfill, the new equipment was inaugurated by the Premier Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly on Friday, June 21st, 2024. In international news, 2 federal courts have temporarily blocked key portions of U.S. President Joe Biden's student loan debt relief and repayment plan. The dual rulings blocks potential debt relief that millions of borrowers may have seen in less than a week. The White House said it would continue to vigorously defend its forgiveness and repayment proposals. More than 1 in 10 Americans hold federal student debt, and it is a major election issue for young voters. A letter from Albert Einstein, which encouraged the U.S. to develop the world's first nuclear bombs, is to go up for auction. Written to President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1939, the note warns that Nazi Germany might be able to create such weapons and suggests the U.S. begin its own atomic program. 3 years later, America began the Manhattan Project, which led to the first ever use of atomic weapons against Japan in 1945. The letter is being sold as part of an auction of artifacts belonging to Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen, who died in 2018 at the age of 65. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
HSA's Urgent Care Clinic is now open 7 days per week to serve you better. Visit our dedicated team at Urgent Care, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and weekends and public holidays, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. No appointment necessary. If you are experiencing non-life-threatening symptoms and conditions, such as the cold and flu, sprains and cuts, earaches, nausea and vomiting, visit Urgent Care's walk-in clinic at the main entrance of the Georgetown Hospital, now open every day. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
At Kirk Market, it's so easy to eat well and find healthy options. With their fresh veggies from local farmers, hormone-free chicken, local seafood, and grass-fed meats, Kirk Market has delicious, quality food at the best prices. And you must check out their fresh salad bar, hot bar, and med bar for daily healthy options on the go. Their delicious dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients such as prime meats and organic veggies. Eating great is important to me. That's why Kirk Market is my store. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and shop happy.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva, whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honor shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown Harbor. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honored at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us. It's going to be some open line until 1:30. So, what numbers should we give you to call? Well, we can give you the real numbers, 949-6990, or another good working number, 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp call 925-32621 and share with us. Again, it was good to banter with Shamari Scott over at Health City and to meet Dr. Lisa Mohante. And she kind of reminded us the notion that many of us, probably in the absence of knowing, would think of plastic surgery and only see the cosmetic aspect. But to understand that there is the reconstructive aspect to it as well. And when I look at what I see in Cayman and what I would like, I don't say this lightly. I don't say it to be inflammatory. I don't say it from an ill-informed perspective. I don't say it with a sense of sincerity. I think the pillars in our society, but in everyone, is a strong, and robust healthcare system and education. Now, if whether or not we subscribe or are aware of Maslow's sort of hierarchy of needs, and we talk about those basic things like food and shelter, well, they are essential, for people. But when you're looking at how you develop your society, if your people are not healthy and educated, and that doesn't only mean getting a piece of paper from some, if I may borrow Mr. McKeever's words, in highfalutin university. It's a sense of knowledge. Well, all the gold and diamonds and oil is of no value if your people are not healthy. Let's take this call. Hey, thank you for calling. Welcome.
Hello there. How are you?
I am doing well. Very, very thankful. How about yourself?
So far, so good.
Glad to hear that.
God is good.
Merciful and He's gracious. And I tell you, he must be very patient because he puts up with me. Hey, imagine.
Yeah, and me too. He's more than patient and more than good.
And I'm so thankful.
If I had noticed 10 years ago, I would accept him a long time ago. But it's never too late.
Well, I hope not, because some days I feel like I'm so far away that,
No, you ain't.
Well,
No, you ain't.
thanks for the reminder.
Don't even go there. You must give yourself some credit now, okay?
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I
Give
will.
yourself
I
some
will.
credit. Give yourself some credit.
Yeah.
Yes, God is good.
Yeah.
Well, Sterling, what are we going to talk about today? I got so many topics. You want to give me one?
I could, and if you want a serious one, how do we solve, well, give me the top 3 problems that Cayman is facing from your perspective, and how do we solve them?
Well, Sterling, one thing, we need to come together, and that looks like there's no light at the tunnel for that. God forgive me for saying it. We need to come together, and the government, past, present, and future governments that we do put in, they must remember that we the people who put them in, and we need to work together. They just can't come out and make all the decisions on their own and doesn't involve us into their decision. And when I say that, have their meetings and, and show some concerns for your people. And I just want to say, I wish that the voting would go back how it was some years ago before we came to this one-man vote situation. We understand North Side and East End, and I guess that will remain as is because of this, there will be a one-man vote to East End and North Side. But when it comes to West Bay and Georgetown and Bordentown and where else, South Sound, we need to go back to our normal voting situation because, Sterling, these politicians that in there now, no disrespect to neither one of them. But the fact, when they do something, I give them credit, and when they don't do, there's no credit from me. They need to stop coming out here about, they're East and they're West and they're North. They're all getting paid by all of us, and they are working for all of us. They're supposed to be saying, well, I am East. I supposed to be taking care of them, but yet I supposed to tell myself that it is the whole island that we got to work together for the whole island. I think they got the misconcept that they are divided in that department. Some of them you hear them say, I work for the whole island, and you don't have many say they're working for the whole island. And I am not throwing off fingers at nobody particular in the government, but I just want to say that, if I do vote this coming year, God's willing, it'll be my third time voting in my entire lifetime. In fact, I only got registered some years ago, and I was hesitant about, registering to vote and blah, 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 to say if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. Sometimes I really don't think that is true, Sterling, because when you got a voice, nobody wants to hear your opinion. Nobody wants to hear anything you have to say because you had to put them in and they got to go and do what they think that they should do. without coming out here and trying to get a little bit of, a little bit of info from us and get our opinion as well too. I still think that we still stand up with those people to say, I got to go back to my people and so forth. And Sterling, you know what I can't understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got 19 members and the government is formed, right? And then we got the backbenchers, right? I do not understand what is the purpose for the backbenchers when the government is already formed, and every time that they try to go and pass something, that government side is all of the amount that they need to get it passed. You understand?
Mm-hmm,
So those backbenchers, they're just sitting there collecting a nice check.
What
They can't get nothing done. They can't get nothing passed.
As I listen to you, is it then that we need to, and as you sharing this, I was just thinking, I was making a couple of notes, looking at another message from someone, and before we take this next call, are you, from what you're sharing, I'm led to ask, are we at a space now in a political sort of development where we need to rethink and have a conscious discussion publicly about our political landscape, how we elect, who we elect, how the process is done? Is it as you shared relative to the different constituencies? Do we divide the country up continually? Do we make it more difficult, for those elected because they have to serve competing masters in terms of their
people?
Yeah, their constituents and then their constitutional responsibilities. I'm hoping, though, that if we were to have that conversation, that we can do so very objectively in a way that it isn't talking about things that may cause people to perhaps misunderstand. Even if we say, hey, what does independence look like? Or if someone says, nope, let's not do that because it doesn't bode well for the country. Is there a way for more autonomy that gives us not just the accountability, but also the corresponding responsibility as well?
Yeah, Sterling, I'm trying to still find out what would it take for the Cayman Islands to become independent. What do we have to become independent?
Right. Well, I think a question that I had asked prior to that is, what are the benefits of staying as a non-independent nation, and what would be the cost and the benefits of doing so? And it's a question I don't think that we've asked and certainly have not answered properly. Maybe we don't see that there are relatively few independent entities, countries included. But is it emotively driven why we're talking about independence or not talking about it?
Boy, Sterling, I don't know what it takes to become independent for the Cayman Islands, but I am very satisfied how we are, because we do not know what becoming independent could do for this island.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to go under somebody's umbrella. If it's not even full, but partial, and what's going to happen? They're going to own us and bring their rules and regulation, and what's going to happen to us?
Right. Well, I like the fact that you're willing to share that, and I'm hoping as people listen to you that they'll recognize how, as our promo talks about, there are a lot more questions than answers, but there are a lot of unasked questions. So not only do we not have answers, but we're not even willing to ask the questions. And to your point, and respectfully today, I'm told the other caller is there, just maybe 1 second to ask you something else. To your point, whether we go under someone else's umbrella, is the country at risk now of watching not only its demographics, so the people that are here, its cultural and historical ethos, be significantly consumed and subsumed and just overrun and decimated and disregarded and disrespected, whatever the things that some of our sociologists would comment, some of our people are fearing. Are we at risk of having the country change in such a way that is unrecognizable, not just to our grandparents, but to our own grandchildren? Are we at...
We're unrecognizable right now to a degree.
Well, this is...
No disrespect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's Yeah, well, you know what, I certainly have, strong views on what I would love my country to be. I would like to be able to walk without having to be attacked by some dog. I would like to go to the supermarket, not have somebody pull a machine out from, his waistband. And those are things that are not unrealistic or unreasonable, but yet we have people coming from eastern districts spending 4 hours, every day in traffic going in and coming. I mean, there's a lot, and sadly, people say something these days, they get, maligned for having an opinion. They get castigated for voicing something publicly. That's not democracy. And then we got people who are celebrated and elevated, and that space between the ears, I don't think there's even any air there, much less any thoughts. But yet, boy, they're giving awards and accolades.
Yes, they sure are. And you know what, Sterling?
Mm-hmm.
Our road rage is getting heavier and heavier out here.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago, I was driving, and someone was trying to tell me how fast I should drive. And I'm like, excuse me? And only then I went slower, if it's such a word. I didn't press that pedal. Let us went on a what do you call it, a little remote zooming. That road slowness to my comfort. I say, you know what? I'm not in no hurry, and you shouldn't tell me how to drive. I'm not breaking no speed limit just because you want to go faster. We got a lot of road rage going on here, sir. A lot of it going on.
Yeah, we got a lot.
I don't know what if we get a new government or a partial new government, I don't know what they can come out here and tell us that they can do to bring some more laws, some good laws, and get stiffer with the penalties on people out here doing the foolishness that they are doing on the roads, in the grocery stores. Sterling, you can't even go to the grocery store comfortable. They are trying to walk on you. They're trying to reach over your shoulder. I mean, it is unbelievable. You're trying to get something to eat, and they're reaching over your shoulder like.
Yeah,
like,
there's a behavior that is really. I mean, I'll. Anyway, you share before we go to the next caller. Anything else you want to share quickly?
I want to hear what that caller got to say.
I do as well.
I have to get in my car. You
Okay.
take care and talk to you soon.
All right, all the best to you.
Good.
Good. Thanks for taking our call as we take this next. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, Miss Susan, and to all our listeners, and Miss Jan there. Good afternoon to her, and I will support what she says to remain under British Crown colony about going independent. We can see what happened to Jamaica and other places that went independent, and who else we have to rely on. At least when we have a disaster in the Cayman Islands, like a hurricane, the British sends their ships down and offers assistance to us, and we can look for them. In the case of any military or any attempts from any other country to take hold to our country, we can look to them to justify things in our island. So independence, that's a serious thing you're thinking about, anyone who wants us to go independent. Anyway, back to another story. Today is World Seafarers Day. I would like to say to Mr. Diniston Tibbetts and the head of the seafarers in Cayman Brac, to all seafarers, today is our day. Have a happy Seafarers Day. That's June the 25th, World Seafarers Day.
Thank you for reminding us, sir.
Yes, and also there are so many seafarers held hostage now on their ships up around Yemen. There is one with 25 crew members, one of the biggest car carriers in the world. Mostly Filipinos are on it. You got Filipinos, a few Mexicans, Ukrainians, and Georgians, and they're held hostage on their own ship and one of the biggest container ships in the world. They got about 25 also on board that ship, and they can't do anything but walk around in their rooms or up on the bridge, and they're guarded by these blasted Houthi militants up there off Yemen. And they sunk one large ore carrier. That was the biggest maritime disaster in history caused by the rebels. That was an 85,000-ton ore carrier that many Caymanian seamen used to work on ships that size, loaded with 80,000 tons of coal. They shot Actually, it was a boat, a speed boat with explosives on board, TNT and other explosives. Drove it into the stern of the ship, blowed up the engine room, and killed a Filipino engineer inside of it. And the ship was abandoned. All the crew were taken off by military personnel and rescued. Mostly Filipinos were on board, and the ship stayed drifting from the 12th to the 17th. And then they went up alongside and shot other explosives and sunk the ship. I mean, this is a serious thing the world is seeing, and nobody can do anything about it. These ships are attacked and seized up there, and it's causing cost of living all the way down throughout the world to go up because of these things.
You know, as you remind us, I mean, we're cognizant of how important the sea still today is to the global economy, you know, not just for people traveling for pleasure, but for the movement of goods, you know, across the continents and just even intracoastal in many parts. But with that in mind, though, Mr. Raymond, you look at just the Middle East, for instance, and many of our vessels, or many of the vessels are flagged under the Cayman Islands registry, right, or shipping registry. What do you think about, you know, what is happening just now, as you referenced the Houthis over there, the attacks on the oil and other, you know, cargo vessels?
It will happen to a Cayman Island flagship if they don't avoid going through the Red Sea totally. And then these attacks are taking place in the Gulf of Aden, where the Somali pirates used to hijack ships, and all the way near to the Indian Ocean, which is 1,000 miles away from that territory. So it's a serious problem, and they actually shot a missile into a ship that is among the Cayman Island flag, not Cayman Island flag, but the same owners, Stolt Sequoia, a chemical tanker, on Sunday, injured some of the crew members and started a small fire, but they got it out in. Stolt Sequoia is one of the fleet of the most registered ships in the Cayman Islands. The world's biggest chemical company, Stolt Nielsen of Norway, has around 40 ships registered in Grand Cayman, Georgetown, Port of Registry, flying Cayman Island flag. Yes, one of these will become a target because they're going up through that area. The ship's just going to have to avoid that area, and it's costing, to go the long journey from Far East to Europe with containers, is costing the shipping companies an additional $1 million in fuel and 7 to 10 days, 12 days longer journey. So that will be trickling down all throughout the world in the cost of shipping cargo around the world.
And this is where I think, you know, as I listen to you, understanding how the things that happen in the world can affect us here, as you said, the extended delay, you know, from, in some cases, I understand, even up to a month in getting the goods around. All right, as we take the next break and welcome the other guests, anything finally? Well, we'll take another call. So thank you, Ms. Souza. Thanks very much, Mr. Raymond.
Yes, I had something else to tell you.
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, yesterday was recorded one of the busiest days between Grand Cayman and Little Cayman, with 15 ships passing, 10 going west, 5 going east. Around $10 billion worth of cargo and ships pass through between the two islands. That will show you we are in the midst of the major shipping lane to and from Texas, Louisiana, United States, Mexico, to all over the world, with some of every product of the world being transported around the Cayman Islands. And anyway, happy Seafarers Day. I wish we had something to celebrate. We had a party or something here in Cayman Brac we could celebrate, or Grand Cayman. But anyway, I will be seeking to bring in ships to blast the horn or light up the ocean tonight or tomorrow, whenever, to celebrate Seafarers Day. All the best and good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond. And let's take this next call on WhatsApp. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good evening, Mr. Sterling. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, sir. How about yourself?
I don't know. First, I don't know where. First thing, I don't know where I'm at. I thank Mr. Raymond for that. Yes, Happy Seafarers Day. Not many seafarers left because we dropping down like flies in Cayman. At least you can start a soon, count them on your hand. Hope Mr. Denniston can call in and cheer us up a little bit. A little while we didn't hear from Mr. Denniston. Good evening, Mr. Denniston. If you're listening, I know somebody will tell you, even if I got called and tell you.
There you go, sir. There you go.
But I admire Mr. Raymond, you know. I admire Mr. Raymond a lot. But Mr. Sterling, couple of weeks' time, you know, it can be that thing they call election in Cayman. Somebody was saying about they were hoping that the UK or England would take over Cayman, but they got their problems too. They got plenty of problems up there, but you can't hardly hear nothing about it. But they got plenty of issues up there too. So I think we need to fight our own battles here.
But why would you want England to come in and take over?
I didn't say
no,
so.
No, sorry, not you, but okay.
I heard people is saying that because the government in Cayman is not controlling or doing the country the best for their people. But I guess we are capable here to take care of our own business, our own house. We need to take care of our own house. But what I'm saying, Mr. Sterling, it's election time now. And I would like you right now, I will put you on the spot to tell me, since the last election, how many of the politicians, either individual or together, had a public meeting? Can you tell me anyone?
There have been a few. No, I can't, and I probably won't expend any great energy. But let me then ask this in answering you. Where are we as the voter specifically in ensuring that we are engaged, informed, involved, and helping not only to keep the democracy healthy, holding their policymakers not just accountable, right, but actively engaged so that whatever is done or not done is to the betterment, not the detriment of the country. I mean, where are we? I know, as the populace, we complain about some, what do we call them, a special interest group, lobbying the government. We like to use the phrase now. But are we not as voters also out there making sure that what we ask in the politicians, what we insist that they do, is helping us now, but also down the road?
Yes, but first, Mr. Sterling, can you answer me? How many meetings did you advertise on Radio Cayman since the last election? Because I didn't hear any, and I have on Radio Cayman every day.
Yeah, well, I won't attempt to avenge that because I didn't keep a tally nor pay any greater attention. But a question that I'm sort of inclined to ask in return is, when the politicians do have a meeting, two things. One, how well is it attended? And two, to what extent is there anything beneficial from that meeting? Are they just meeting to say they had a meeting? Now, I agree with you, there needs to be accessibility. The politicians need to be able to ensure that there is a space where the constituents and the wider populace by extension is able to access the politician and engage in the issues. But having a public meeting, what are your thoughts? I mean, how many of us would attend, and what comes about as a positive outcome of such a meeting?
Oh, okay, Mr. Sterling, I gonna answer you.
Yes, sir.
My thoughts, although you didn't answer me, I guess you're in a position that you don't want to say.
No, I just told you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Of any public meetings since the election, I didn't hear any. So that's me.
Right.
I can be wrong. That's why I'm asking you, because I know I listen to Radio Cayman every day in my life.
Right.
Even when it's not on, I listen to it. So
There you
see,
go. There you go.
But the question that you asked me, how many do people attend? Some people attend and some don't. And you know why they don't? My opinion, only like my good friend Mr. Nicky always say, his opinion only.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that, Mr. Sterling, it don't make no difference. It doesn't matter, because the people tell you what they want you to hear to make you feel good. And then after the time comes, then everything is changed. Never hear nobody going wrong or seeing that, but now you hear them coming up gradually now.
Right.
They coming out now like crab. They just wait now, see one little bit of sun, and they poke their head up one little bit, and then I going back in now, tomorrow I come out, and they coming out gradually.
Well,
because it won't make any difference, Mr. Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
It is plenty people, and you know this, hurting in West Bay, hurting in Georgetown, hurting in Bordentown, hurting in East End, hurting in Northside, hurting in Cayman Brack, and hurting in Little Cayman. And the politicians are only looking for certain people to help out.
Mm-hmm.
I gonna run, you know. I run in from this election, you know. I run in. I'm not running in the election, you hear me? I'm running from it. I'm going Little Cayman on a helicopter for this election. That be okay?
Well, I'm almost inclined to say to you that yes, we all should run. We all should run, full speed together towards making the country better and considering becoming actively involved in the political landscape instead of leaving it, for them, whoever they are, and then complaining about what they do, whoever they are. But I hear you, man. I hear the level of apathy and frustration. I understand the cynicism, All right. Sorry. Thanks very much, Mr. George. Where are we going, Miss Susan? Sir?
I'm gonna leave, but I want to ask you one more question before you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to ask you one more question before you go. Why, in your opinion, does the politicians that have good intentions when they're running, after they get elected, that they changes their everything? They changes everything.
Well,
they're very busy. You can't get them on the phone. You can't get an appointment with them. Nothing. Why, in your opinion, what causes that?
Right. Well,
business, if they got too much business or what?
Let me try to answer that and offer up two suggestions. One, we're making the assumption that they have good intentions, and secondly, perhaps in the absence of us, the regular voter, being involved, engaged, informed, and ensuring that the politician is reminded that they're there to do a job for the betterment of the country, perhaps that is part of the challenge why we see the things that are not happening are happening in the way they are. But maybe it could be compounded by the fact that when we do ask the politician for things, the things we ask him for are just things that are insignificant, minor, and the things that are just no. Give me $25 to pay my phone bill, $100 for this. Maybe we need, things that are long lasting, from education to employment to, other more significant things that take time. Maybe we don't want that. But me and Susan, we gotta run. I need to lose some more weight and build some more muscle. All right. We're gonna pause. Is that what we're doing with Susan? When we come back in partnership with the Health Services Authority, as we talk about Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, we have a number of individuals slated, and one of the people with great deference to the others who will attend would be Miss Dorothy from the Alzheimer's and Dementia Association of Cayman Islands, ADASI. So we're honored to have that discussion. We invite you to join us right after.
Are you ready to step into the future? Digicell's super-fast 5G network is here. Experience more lightning-fast speeds, more seamless connectivity, and more possibilities available with all Digicell bundles. Whether you're streaming, gaming, or working, our 5G technology takes your experience to a whole new level. The future is here. Visit any of our stores today and join Cayman's super-fast 5G network. Digicell. Better connected.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad had taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Summer's heating up, and so are the good times. Whether you are out on the water, enjoying the beach, or gathering with colleagues for an office bash, make it a feast to remember with Subway. From assorted sandwich platters to mouth-watering cookies, our catering menu has something for everyone. Perfect for groups of 5 or more. For food that's fresh, fast, and perfect for any occasion, choose Subway Catering. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The Spring Labor Force Survey and Quality of Life Survey conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office is currently underway. The Labor Force Survey seeks to collect data on employed and unemployed persons in the Cayman Islands, as well as those who are not in the labor force. The Quality of Life Survey seeks to gather information on life satisfaction, sense of well-being, financial security, economic outlook, and perceived health. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
The 23rd Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts, Tranquility, is here. Presented by the New Self-Help Foundation, Sunday, June 30th at the Harkwell Theater. Awesome performances by Rico Rolando.
Here we go again, there's something in this water.
Dream Chasers, Radiance Dance Studio, UCCI Dance Company, Centerpoint Dance Studio, Cayman National Dance Company, and more. Hosted by Anika Connolly and Lloyd Barker. Part of the proceeds from the Talent Exposition will go to support the training program of the arts. Tickets are available from the #1 shoe shop and Winner's Circle Sports. Prepaid tickets $15 or $20 at the gate. The 2024 Talent Exposition of the Arts, Tranquility, Sunday, 30th June at the Harkwell Theater. Gates open at 5. Show starts at 6. Get your tickets today. Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and thanks for joining. And always an opportunity to, we get a chance to learn, to be informed, and understand exactly, what we have in our society. And this continued partnership with our Health Services Authority has been ongoing for a while. Hopefully through that, a number of things in my mind should transpire. One, we see the services that we have in our country. We get to introduce our children to prospective careers that may extend, within the medical field, but beyond the physicians, and appreciate there's so much that happens in that space. But immediately, and most impactful, is that we have an awareness of what is going on. So, with great deference to neurologist Dr. Chair, let's first and foremost invite the wonderful company of Miss Dorothy Davis. How are you, Miss Dorothy?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
Always a pleasure. That beam a smile, whether she was on the end of the phone when you were asking for information and assistance, or whether you were part of Adasi and you were being in the audience as a presentation. Always a pleasure, Mom.
Thank you.
All right. As we talk about Alzheimer's and dementia and the like, and part of Brain Awareness Month, Adasi, respectfully and quickly, what is it and how did it come about? And just give us a brief sort of overview.
Okay, quick one, because I'm hoping that people out there in Radio Land don't get too bored of this story. However, it is as I say, it's a grassroots association, and it came about my mom's diagnosis with dementia and the need for education, awareness, and everything back in the Cayman Islands back in 2010. And when my mom was diagnosed, no one spoke about dementia. We didn't know what it was. I mean, we heard senility dementia and everything. And the stigma that is attached with it is so deep-rooted here. I mean, since our association has been around, I can see, people are coming out and say, Mom, Dad, spouse, or whomever has been diagnosed, and they're looking for a diagnosis, which is what we encourage, because if persons go to the doctor to be diagnosed, then, the care is better. The quality of life is better. So that's what our association has been trying to educate and bring awareness of. And then I've just learned, we have so many resources here on the island, and thankful to so many wonderful corporate sponsors. Our association has been able to help or assist persons go wherever they choose to go to be diagnosed.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Ms. Dorothy. As we see our people are increasingly, seeking help, trying to find information, and what I'm gathering from many is that, generally speaking, there's a very informed populace when it comes to healthcare. They want to know. Dr. Chair, as a neurologist, I say Alzheimer's, I hear dementia. Are they similar? Are they the same? Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me, first of all. And dementia and Alzheimer's are commonly kind of used in a synonymous way, but it's actually two different things. So dementia, as a general term, means that there is a gradual decline in certain brain functions, including memory, language, attention, perception, etc., while Alzheimer's disease is a specific type of dementia, which is the most common type of dementia, which mainly affects the memory, especially in the first couple of years. So dementia is a big group of hundreds of different diseases, and within that group, Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of old age dementia.
And with that, as you talk about, watching the brain and the cognitive function, memory, and there's so much just being forgetful because of all these things, right?
Yes.
And we may be a bit dismissive initially.
Yes, this is a very common problem. And when they ask me, okay, how do you diagnose dementia? So it's or Alzheimer's disease. It's not like you go into ER, do an X-ray, and then they say you have AD. It's a bit more complicated than that, especially initially in the first few years of the disease. Sometimes it's difficult to tell whether an elderly person is just forgetful, which can be normal, we all forget things every once in a while, or it is actually pathological. Is it a disease? And the best way to kind of separate those two or differentiate, experts say, is whether the cognitive dysfunction, let's say memory problems, affect the daily life significantly. If it interferes with the person's daily life, it is most likely abnormal and pathological.
From that perspective of diagnosis, help us to understand.
Yeah, so diagnostically, what we tend to do, of course, when a patient comes in, I'm always happy when a relative comes with them so I can get some collateral history, and of course, history from the patient. So history is everything. So we ask a lot of questions about daily functioning, about forgetfulness, about memory, about managing that person's own bills, finances, groceries, driving, and hundreds of different questions. And if there is a kind of a suspicion that there might be a background of Alzheimer's disease, we do further examinations, we do blood tests, mainly to rule out other causes, which might be reversible. We also do brain imaging, MRI brain, for instance, because again, a lot of diseases can mimic Alzheimer's disease. I want to exclude that it's not a brain tumor in the memory center or anything like that. Initially in Alzheimer's disease, there's not much to find. So it's really just the history from the patient and their relative and a few other additional tests.
And those sort of tests, the imagery, the MRIs in particular, some must have had it be going in. There's the machine, it turns on and makes that sound. And, but what else happens? I mean, do you do some sort of, for want of a better word, dye? Do you spark things to make it light up? I mean,
yes, so MRI is an amazing technique. It's extremely smart, and it has a very complicated physics. So essentially what it does is that it detects water in the brain, and through various physical and mathematical calculation, those measurements are turned into beautiful image. And we make hundreds of images of the brain, and we look at certain parts of the brain which we know can be affected in dementia. We can either give dye or not always. Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. It usually takes 20-25 minutes. It's a small space, so some of my patients are not happy with that. But and it can be really loud, but it's absolutely safe in a way that it doesn't use any radiation like an X-ray or a CT scan. So you can do an X number of MRI, and it's not going to have any long-term health effect.
Okay, I just want to ask about that. Just with the MRI,
yes,
did you say there's no radiation like the CTs and X-rays? So other than that sound that we hear, that knocking sound, that's probably the most discomforting thing.
Yeah, and the
with
space
the
and the claustrophobics, but they can give you like headphones and I always recommend my patients to, before they go in, it's an electric bed, they put the patient in this narrow space, to close their eyes, think of something else, try to meditate, pray, or whatever, and until the exam is over and the bed comes out, don't open your eyes.
Yeah,
and
just keep still as much as possible.
You have to keep still, otherwise there will be what we call motion artifacts, and then we won't see anything.
Right, and that leads me to the second question, in that in terms of early diagnosis, if that person is sufficiently advanced, they may not be able to sit still, they may not fully understand.
Exactly. That's a very common problem, actually, especially, as you say, in more advanced stages of dementia. In those cases, we can either... It's all about what is the best for the patient. Is it worth forcing the MRI scan, or do we know the diagnosis anyway and it's not going to really change anything? But if we really need to do an MRI scan, there are ways to sedation and anesthesia and stuff like that. We can ask our colleagues to help us with that.
All right. And with that, and when you're talking about Alzheimer's and dementia, I guess that's brain related.
Yes.
So what happens, to the brain? I mean, some was like, that Wizard of Oz thing, there was no brain or heart or something, but presumably there should be one. So let's go to the premise that there is. What happens?
So in Alzheimer's disease, it's from a scientific perspective, it's very, very interesting. So what happens is there are certain proteins in the brain that everybody has in their brain, which for some reason we don't fully understand, change their chemical structures and become insoluble, and they aggregate together. They stick together and they form plaques. You might have heard of these amyloid plaques between the neurons in the brain, and there are also what we call tau tangles within the brain cells. And think of it as essentially it kind of suffocates the brain cells. It blocks the normal communication between the cells, and ultimately it leads to cell death. So what the cause of this plaque formation is, we don't fully understand. Interestingly, there are people who pass away who have a lot of amyloid plaques in their brain, but they never had any cognitive symptom in their lives. It's called resilience. So some people are just resilient to these plaques and never develop dementia. Some people develop dementia even with a low burden of amyloid and tau plaques. So there's a massive amount of research into this, how a person from completely normal cognition becomes ill, while another person, same age, same background, same environment, doesn't.
Okay. Then as I listen to you, you said plaque, and I'm thinking blockage. Is it then both oxygen and oxygenated blood just going around, or is it more than that?
So it's not in the blood vessels.
Okay.
It can be in the cell itself, in the nerve cells, brain cells, or between the cells. So there is a massive amount of communication between the brain cells.
So the synaptic
the synaptic communication is blocked by these plaques, and ultimately these cells just tend to die.
Right. And as you shared, I was thinking, so your comment, Dr. Chair, where that person may have a lot of this stuff going on, but no seemingly cognitive impairment, and you say resilience. Is it that they've now, either through experience and lifestyle, they'll learn how to adapt, to cope, they can have a workaround?
That's a very interesting question. So there are a lot of research into that, and we do know that certain lifestyle measurements can help preventing cognitive decline.
Okay. So let me then ask, and then sort of indirectly or secondary to Ms. North as well. We think of Alzheimer's and dementia and those, and we think of people elderly.
Yes.
Is that the accepted norm? And B, well, is it somehow presenting itself in the younger generation?
Most cases, more than 90% of AD cases, occur above the age of 65.
Okay.
And as we grow older, the so-called incidence, so how frequent it is, doubles every 5 years. So the older we get, the more likely we will develop it. There are rare cases of what we call young onset Alzheimer's disease, which is really a tragedy. If someone inherits a specific gene mutation, then they can develop Alzheimer's in their 30s and 40s. But in most people with late onset Alzheimer's, we don't find those genetic changes.
Okay. And I want to ask you, after Ms. Dorothy, if it's okay, from the Cayman context, from your experience, just generally speaking, are you seeing people who are 60, 70, 80? Are you seeing people, as Dr. Chair sharing, maybe a bit younger?
I see both. Actually, not the. I think they're older, over 65. You see more people, but we do have in the 20s.
Okay.
20s. That was I think strokes.
Okay.
We have in the 40s. There was another guy that was diagnosed at 52. But like a handful.
Right.
But you have, but it's not like very common. But you do have, but once you get a diagnosis, it's a diagnosis, and it's very horrific. You imagine now you would get a diagnosis at that age. Like the husband had a mortgage, a wife, a young child of 12 years old in school. So it affected the life tremendously.
And this is where I kind of want us to have a chat, and the anecdotal, but also, Dr. Chair, from the scientific.
Yes, it is a tragedy, especially if it happens in a younger person, but also in the elderly. As Ms. Dorothy says, there's the spouse there who is also elderly. They might have other diseases that they have to deal with. There are the finances and all that stuff. So it can be very challenging, not just for the patient, but for their whole environment.
Yeah. And I really appreciate this discussion, and I am trying to not only understand the sensitivity, but I'll be guided. Many times we are unwilling to ask or to engage in a conversation because we may offend, we may not feel competent in having a conversation. That may be something we think, let's talk about that over here, but not in this public space.
Yeah.
And Ms. Dorothy, we've had this conversation. We're so glad that you and Adasi are public, because in the absence of that, we weren't having these discussions.
Yes, I agree with that, because it's still a little taboo, you know, in relation to dementia. Oh, I don't want anyone to know my husband was diagnosed with I'm happy to speak with me. Privately, but not to say, you know, even seek assistance from persons that could like go to friends who are even lawyers, and like, you know, like the expertise is there and you can get it free, but they don't want to even venture out, based on the stigma. But it's being eroded a little bit by little bit. You know?
Education, information, public awareness, right?
Yeah.
We're going to take the break shortly, and when we come back after our news at 2, Dr. Chair, through you, can we ask questions like both from the global perspective, but as much as we may know of the Cayman perspective? Right. Is it on the increase? And then anecdotally, Ms. Dorothy, you can say, well, you know, you're seeing this. It's just a conversation for us to be aware. Is it fatal? If it's so, are there end stages of dementia that, and I caution, and I'll be guided by this. Many of us read things. The things we read have a little or no value, but we take it as by belief.
Yes.
So can we ask about those things and help us to understand? And with great respect, anybody who's listening, if you have a question, you want something answered off air, you know, I know Miss Dorothy doesn't mind. I'm going to give you Adasi's contact number.
Yes,
please don't ignore it. So we take the break. We go to our news at 2. When we come back, we're going to have a conversation as we talk about Brain Awareness Month. During the break, we'll see if we can find some chocolate. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Speed into Dream Carnival with Digicel, Cayman's #1 5G network. Win day-wear packages and aftermath tickets by activating a 10-day Prime Pro bundle or paying your bill on time. Don't miss out on these epic events. Go to your nearest Digicel store today or activate a plan in the My Digicel app for your chance to start fetting today. Digicel, better connected.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
This is the People's Radio Station. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. On Wednesday, June 26th, the Cayman Islands government will officially open its Asia office to establish and deepen strong public and private sector relations throughout the region. Deputy Premier and Minister for Financial Services and Commerce, the Honourable Andre M. Ebanks MP, the ministry's chief officer, Dr. Dax Basteo, and government's Deputy Representative for Financial Services to Europe, Julie Campbell, will travel this weekend to attend the commemorative reception at Swissôtel the Stamford in Singapore. In international news, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission has referred a complaint against TikTok and its Chinese parent company ByteDance over potential violations of children's privacy to the Department of Justice. The FTC says its own investigation uncovered reason to believe that the firms are violating or about to violate the law. In a statement to BBC News, a TikTok spokesperson said they were disappointed by the decision. A mysterious monolith has appeared in the Nevada desert over the weekend, sparking speculation as to what it may be and who is behind it. The structure was spotted by the Las Vegas Police Department, who said they saw it during a search and rescue mission north of the Las Vegas Valley. The monolith is similar to other similarly puzzling ones that appeared around the globe in 2020. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Cayman Islands, your input can shape our future. Plan Cayman needs your input on the updated planning statement to create a sustainable community for everyone. Help shape Cayman's future by participating in public consultations with the Central Planning Authority and the Ministries for Planning and Sustainability. Together, we can build a thriving Cayman. For details and to find the meeting closest to you, visit plancayman.ky. Your voice matters. Let's plan Cayman together.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us and to the Health Services Authority for this continued partnership to be able to, at least for me, not only highlight the extended and continued level of expertise that we have in our country, with great reference to Dr. Chair, the neurologist, and Mr. Arthur Davis from Hadassah. Early on, we had Health City. They come in to do a paid segment. For me, all of the physicians who are here, they're good for me as a prospective patient.
Yes.
Right? You guys can compete, but if we as a country knows that there's a Dr. Chair at HSA who's a neurologist, but there's a Dr. Ramesh at HSA, and you guys will collaborate, hey, I benefit.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong in saying that, so guide me now, but that does well for us, right?
No, that's perfectly correct. And I actually work really closely together with doctors Ramesh and Kumar at Health City. And we share a lot of patients, and we sit down and discuss cases. So, yes, we have a great collaboration.
Thank you for sharing that publicly, because I want us, and if someone says it's a political statement, call me, I'll buy you breakfast, we have the conversation.
But yeah, I'll direct them to you.
Yeah, direct them to me, because this is what builds our people.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love about our community.
Yes.
Is the collaboration that we can have among the, the various.
You remember the days not long ago, you went into Uncle Bill's and you were looking for something, batteries, a flashlight, and they didn't have it, and the lady there, usually it was a lady, she said, well, did you try Kirk's?
Right.
And you went across and then serve you well. And that's what the community was about. Exactly. They knew, and they would pick up the phone, and phone calls were expensive, and they would call the person and they would send you over. That's what we need more of.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes. Yes.
All right. Thanks very much. See, Norma, I know what I'm doing. I love this place, man. I really, even the fans of basketball who cheer for the Lakers, even them. Ooh, I got to be careful now. Let's get back to our discussion. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Alzheimer's and brain awareness month.
Yeah.
During the break, we were asking certain things as we were going into the break, Dr. Chai. So help us to appreciate as we talk about, Alzheimer's and stuff like treatment and prevention should come into play. And we also wanted to talk about the younger people, but let's talk about, prevention and treatment.
I think that's a very important question. And I found it surprising when I was learning about this, that there are actually ways, evidence-based ways to prevent cognitive decline. So first of all, what are the risk factors of Alzheimer's that probably can be prevented? So what we call vascular risk factors, uncontrolled diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, these are all risk factors. Lifestyle-wise, sedentary lifestyle, smoking, obesity are important risk factors. Repeat brain trauma can also be a risk factor, as well as smoking. Smoking is horrible for your brain. So if I had to give advice, I would say, physical activity. If you have high blood pressure, get it treated. If you have diabetes, get it checked. If you have high cholesterol, take the medication and follow what we call the Mediterranean type diet, which is known for its brain protective and heart protective effects. It's easy here. It's easy here to do it because we have a lot of fish here. We have a lot of sea fish. We have nuts. We have fruits and veggies and healthy dairy products, etc. So and olive oil for cooking, obviously, and trying to avoid essentially the standard American diet. So sweetened beverages, fast food, junk food, sugary stuff, snacks and stuff like that, crisps, chips, etc. So it's best to avoid those and prefer the Mediterranean type diet with physical activity.
As Dr. Cherry shared, I'm beginning to think, Ms. Dorothy, the notion of nutrition, diet, lifestyle, things that we understand. It affects our diabetes, which can affect our brain health.
Brain health,
Exactly.
yes.
If we're stressed, and I mean, some must joke and say, I eat stress for breakfast. But we're probably more stressed than we recognize, and that's probably affecting not just our, wow.
Yeah, stress affects mood. That can lead to depression, and depression is a risk factor again. So we have to be conscious of these lifestyle measures. Absolutely.
I want to, sorry, Mr. Arthur, you.
No, I was thinking, like whenever I go to the conferences, because we are part of the Alzheimer's Disease International, and they have a regional conference and we have global conference. You go and you're sitting there with all of these scientists and all the neurologists and neuroscience and everybody, and they're talking about the thing. I mean, it's almost like you were preaching. Some of the doctors, like they admit, you say, we are we preach these things every day, but every day we're saying we don't do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So they started something. I think it was like last year. Everybody had to make a pledge that they were going to do something about the things that you teach, like you practice what you preach. And it's never too it's never too early. You should start doing it, when you're young. You're never too young to start it, or never too whatever.
Hey, the best thing to have, started a tree was yesterday, but today is not too late, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, I find that if I'm too strict in a way to patients and say that, you cannot eat that, you cannot do that, you cannot. I always say, you can have your hamburger every once in a while in moderation. In moderation, not every day. I had patients in the past who were like eating hamburger literally every day, and no wonder they were obese.
Right.
So
everything in moderation, and you should be fine.
And as you share, I'm thinking increasing. I mean, you reference olive oil, and for those in the Mediterranean, for me, growing up, coconut oil.
Right.
Dorothy,
yes.
I won't reference the wonderful lady on the Sister Islands, but she uses it in everything, right? And it's good for you.
No, it's good.
Skin,
Good.
was it the medium chain triglycerides that go into the brain and so on? You just rub it on your temples.
Yeah.
But it's the real stuff, not that processed stuff that we buy in the shelves that are
And
fancy on the label.
it's not very difficult to make either.
So you say.
Well, I thought, it's time consuming maybe, but not difficult, because we tried it. My uncle showed me how to do it, and we did it like once or twice, and it was good, but it's a task.
Lifestyle. It's also embracing your cultural practices, appreciating that certain foods, and as Dr. Cherry was sharing, the ultra-processed foods that we're eating now, how conscious are we, and how deliberate will a country be in requiring labeling? We see the push across the certain jurisdictions, heavily restricted, or so I would say probably, how best to put it kindly. The FDA and its nonsense sort of making sure that the marketers get their way. But
the regulation, especially in the U.S., is very loose.
Thank you. I like the way you say it. I was being polite.
So I know it. I'm from Europe. I'm Hungarian, and I worked in the UK. And there, if you read a food label, every information is on it.
And you can read it.
You can read it. Sometimes here, when I want to check something, it doesn't say how much calorie does it contain. Like how is that possible?
Okay, I know, and I've done this consciously, and others, we look at the labels, and there are a lot of words that but they're not really words, they're made up. And they're not things I find in my pantry.
Yes.
So they shouldn't be in my food.
Exactly. So if you are about to buy a food, think of, does this occur in nature? In this form? Like you won't find chocolate or ice cream or chips in that form. You will find a piece of meat, you will find fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and all that stuff. That is, you can find it in nature.
Right.
If you read the label and it's full of additives and it doesn't look like anything, it's just kind of a synthetic product, and it has more than 10 components, just don't eat it.
Right. And something a chemist friend of mine, she shared, is that in the ingredients, Miss Dorothy, there's this thing and then there's this other thing, and together they form this thing that is even probably very harmful.
Yes, absolutely. And also, mainly the issue, especially with cardiovascular disease, is the trans fats that we find with a lot of fried foods. You know, when they deep fry something, whatever oil you use, the oil will go, because of the heat, it will go through some chemical changes, which will create what we call trans fats, which are extremely pro-inflammatory. They increase atherosclerosis. They are a risk for dementia. They are a risk for cancer, and you name it. So that I always again advise to try to avoid these ultra processed or deep fried stuff.
I think this is where the olive oil doesn't have a high heat temperature, tend to be used as is.
Yes.
But then the coconut oil by hand, I think the heat temperature is a little bit higher.
Yes.
So you
The
could
smoking
use that
point,
as
it's
opposed
higher.
to the canola foolishness. But anyway.
Or bake. No, I don't use canola.
No, don't use that. that. Avoid that. I hardly use any oils, you know.
Really?
It's
I use olive, but
I'll
like
joke and say, but
I bake like now. Like plant, I was going to say that means you planted. But the thing is that I like the baked plantain. It's only because it like sometimes it's even sweeter.
Yeah.
But the baked,
What
the
you
baked
do,
plantain.
right?
So I don't mind.
I see my brothers take it when it's ripe, so it's already starting to caramelize anyway, right? So it's really ripe. You take it, you cut it up, you get some cinnamon, some ginger, a little hint of cumin, right? Gives a little flavor. A little cayenne for a little bit of spice. You don't need any salt.
That's the other thing, salt.
Yeah.
So try to use like fresh herbs instead of like using too much salt, because that in certain people, and I find it especially in the Black community, there are a lot of people who are who have a salt-sensitive kidney. So they kind of retain salt, and salt, as you know, is attached to water. And if there's too much volume in the blood vessels, it can create hypertension, which again leads down to different kinds of problems.
All right. So after our final break, could we then ask, as we were sharing earlier, is either scientifically from studies or just anecdotally from observation to you, Ms. Dorothy, do we see the increase in globally and in particularly locally the incidence of Alzheimer's and dementia? Can it be fatal? Are there sort of end stages and the like? And we could talk more about the prevention and the like. And I'm even thinking about football and now they move towards, a game without hitting. But can we talk about that for a bit?
Sure.
All right, Dr. Chair and Ms. Dorothy will remain with us, so we'd ask you to join us after.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Are you ready to step into the future? Digicell's super-fast 5G network is here. Experience more lightning-fast speeds, more seamless connectivity, and more possibilities. Available with all Digicell bundles. Whether you're streaming, gaming, or working, our 5G technology takes your experience to a whole new level. The future is here. Visit any of our stores today and join Cayman's super-fast 5G network. Digicell. Better connected.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome, Miss Dorothy. I should interrupt you earlier. That is Miss Dorothy Davis, a fantastic person, and not only because my sisters say so, but because she is, without question. So from ADASI, the Alzheimer's and Dementia Association of Cayman Islands, thanks Ms. Dorothy for coming on, and to Dr. Che, the neurologist over at the Health Services Authority. And as we talk about Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, I recognize that if it's in us, how daunting, how sometimes debilitating, sometimes how discouraged we may be. We may even become so frustrated because of the concerns of what it could be, what it is happening then, but then to our spouses and siblings and children and everybody else. So, Dr. Che, there's much I want to ask, but anything you want to say before I continue asking?
It is a scary diagnosis. There's no question about it. But first of all, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay. So it's a slowly progressive disease. Secondly, we have some treatment options, although not perfect. And thirdly, we have a lot of other ways to help both the patient and the family on a community level.
Okay. We were then asking from the perspective, because I think the more we travel, the more we watch the international news, the more we volunteer in our communities. And thank you, Ms. Dorothy, for sharing that. We're seeing it not just in the 60, 70, 80, 90, 100-year-old, but sadly maybe even in younger. So anecdotally, you've seen more incidents, as you reference, of Alzheimer's, of dementia, of that sort of cognitive decline.
Yes. And it's growing. I mean, I'll say from 2010 to now. When in 2010, there were a few people that, I think there were more people that had dementia or had let's say Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. However, they were not ever formally diagnosed.
Right.
And then now, because after association, people are getting diagnosed. There are more you hear. Oh, my dad has dementia. My husband has dementia. My wife has dementia. Within a week, I can hear one or two more people have that.
It seems in the last 4 or 5 years, even more.
More, yes, there are a lot more. Yeah. I mean, they're more than we want them to be. But how many people are going to, like, the neurologist or anything? A lot of them are going to their GP.
So, Dr. Che, with that, I mean, that's just the community observing and starting to question, it looks like it's on the increase. From your perspective?
So globally speaking, it is on increase. There are about 40 million people worldwide affected, which is a huge number, and it's expected to grow further because people live longer and longer. That's the main issue, one of the main issues, especially in the Western world.
Okay.
So we do see a growing number of patients indeed, yes.
Right. And with that, if I'm hearing you correct in understanding, because as people age, we expect the incidence to increase.
Yes.
Right. Why is that?
Because, to be honest, no one knows.
Right. And
but like, there is a clear correlation between age and those pathomechanisms that I described earlier about the plaque formation. But why it happens as we grow older, probably those proteins that form those plaques become more prone to those structural changes. But to be honest, to this day, even though, as I said, there's a massive amount of research into this, we don't really know the deep root cause of AD.
Here is something, and I'll ask you now, and perhaps if I ever have the wonderful opportunity again to engage with you, inspired by Miss Dorothy, something she shared way back when. So it's a personal working hypothesis, picking up on aging populations, and it would appear that diet, lifestyle, and exercise, but the more active we are, that cognitive skills, those memory games, so the more active we are, the less likely and aging populations in parts of Japan, parts of other parts of the world that have, and including the Cayman Islands, but for, what's been happening recently with the imprisonment of everybody. That's what it was. People are no longer connected, they're not socializing, they're not using their,
And I think we did see an increase in people with dementia. After COVID, during that COVID time, when they were able to get out again, there were, like the behaviors changes and so forth, even in the community, the person that were diagnosed. But I was going to say something before you ask the question, because another thing, I think we need to plan, and you can, the doctor can let me know if I am going down the right path. I think dementia is also the care, because they live quite long with dementia, is a very expensive, it can become very expensive on the family. Caregivers are not cheap. You have to think about getting a caregiver, because a lot of like the spouse
or
maybe,
two.
or two, most of the time it's two. There are two caregivers, right? Another thing is like the social service burden on the when you think about the social aspect of the island, governments, healthcare system, all of those things needs to be looked at when it comes to dementia care, because it is growing, and it's growing rapidly just on our island. And if we are going to continue to grow our population, we're going to see more persons with dementia. And persons are not only coming here under the age of 65, many are coming over the age of 60, retired, some already diagnosed with dementia, and they're still into our healthcare system.
Thank you for reference that.
Yeah, it's a massive problem everywhere in the Western world. The increasing cost of the care of these people and all of the associated costs. It's ever growing, and I don't know where it's going to end, to be honest.
Right.
And this is where I commend you with Adasi, and hopefully in that passing comment that we start to appreciate that whether that's paid caregivers, that they're not only competent, but they also have in them a skill set and a disposition, because we're told someone can be difficult to manage.
Oh yes, definitely. Especially as the disease progresses, what we call neuropsychiatric symptoms become more prominent, including agitation, restlessness, even aggression, and it's a huge toll on the family when you see your loved one and they attack you and they don't recognize you. They don't know who you are anymore, despite being with them for 50 years. It's horrible. So this is why we need caregivers who are specially trained to deal with patients who have a dementia.
Right. And with that, I mean, we recognize, as you shared, the individuals can live, long lives.
Yes.
But there could be. So, Dr. Chair.
Yeah, so generally speaking, this is a very, very rough estimation. From the diagnosis to death, it's 8 to 12 years usually, and there are 3 stages. We say early Parkinson's disease, we say moderate, which is in the middle, a couple of years, and the late stage, when the patient is unfortunately mainly bedbound and needs all-around care.
And in that end stage, if that late
last 3
stage,
years.
yeah, are there particular things that may present that the family may start to see and question and wonder, similar to other illnesses?
Yeah, I mean, they need essential. They become they lose language, so they won't be able to speak. They won't recognize their family members. They won't be able to move around, so they lose mobility. So essentially, we just see a gradual decline in all brain functions.
Is there
sorry, and it's quite sad because I've seen where the difficulty of swallowing and all of those things, and when you talk about the care for family, then you have those that are also diagnosed with have other illnesses. Like we've had one lady that had cancer and dementia. So it was quite
those comorbidities.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
that was quite sad.
Is there anything, Dr. Chair, that a family listening now, recognizing that, and we see the swallowing, like Miss Faith over at HSA as part of the speech and language pathology, remind us how this, But what about the family who's seeing the language, the I guess reduced mobility? Anything we can do?
So there are 2 types of treatments. There are the medical treatments, so essentially medicines, and there are the non-pharmacological treatment. So when it comes to medical treatment, we have a couple of medications which usually have minimal benefit, especially in the first few years of the disease. They tend to slow down disease progression a little. And it also, in the later stage of the disease, we have medication to calm the patient down and manage the psychiatric issues, the agitation, the confusion, the sound downing, the sleep disorder, etc. So these are the pharmacological treatments. There are the non-pharmacological treatments, including speech therapy that you mentioned to improve speech, swallowing, trying to preserve function. We have excellent physiotherapist team who can help with mobility up to the very end. And we have, let's not forget, we have Jasmine Palliative Center, who are also experts in later life difficult patient management.
Right. Well, I appreciate both of you sharing it, and I'm hoping that as a populace we start to recognize the importance of having these resources, these specialists, the expertise within our shores, but also, as Mr. Arthur shared, accessing them, understanding that there are costs, financially to do so,
right,
but even a greater cost in the absence of, not so doing. Any final thoughts, Ms. Dorothy?
Yes, from Adas's perspective, we have caregivers, a caregiver support group, because it's quite difficult for carers caring for a person with dementia. And that includes a spouse, family member, whomever. We have them once a month. It's the first Tuesday of every month at the hub. That's the intergenerational hub next to DHL.
That's close to the airport park, right?
Yes,
in that area?
right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first Tuesday of every month from 6:30. And then we have memory cafes, which are for persons with dementia, which come out and have, for about 2 hours. They do activities, whereas chair yoga, we do games, we do something to interact with them. And these are persons with the earlier stage dementia. They usually come with their caregiver, and it's a really nice event. Then we have a dementia forum, and the next one is coming up on the 18th. And that information will go out as to where it would be held and who would be the speaker and so forth. And those are the educational things that we are encouraging the public to get involved, because there's so many things, just like what Dr. Che said this afternoon, and we can get more, your ability to speak with him. Because I'm putting him on the spot now. I'm going to ask him to be one of our speakers.
Gladly.
For the 18th of July.
Yes.
And ability to speak with, with some of your doctors up front and ask questions and so forth. It's an hour long. We're not going to keep him hostage. But, there, because we know what happens when you start to ask questions. People want to ask more and more and more. However, I sat here and I had to give him a compliment. I said, I love the way that he actually explained the disease and spoke about it. It's in layman terms, I think. So I think I understood it. You'll understand it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And he was so gracious to accept the invite when you
yes.
asked him prior.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So the 18th of July.
July, yes.
All right. Well, okay. And to you, Dr. Chair, thanks again for coming on. Any parting comments you want to share?
Thank you so much for having me. One is that stay active, socially, physically, spiritually. Stay in your community, stay active in your community. Social isolation is the worst risk factor for any dementia, okay? So you got to avoid that. If you or your family member have symptoms of potential memory issues or dementia, you can go to your GP, get a referral to my clinic at Smith Road, and I'm happy to see you.
Hey, thanks very much. And then this is, where I'm hoping as a country we start to appreciate the importance of, our healthcare sector, the government's continued investment in health services, you and individuals like you who go to study and you get certified and then you practice, and we as a community are beneficial, and across Cayman we've got a lot of good specialists. So
we do. We are very fortunate that we do have. We have some of the best, probably best healthcare right now.
Yeah.
We have excellent doctors here.
And I appreciate, Dr. Chair, what you shared publicly, because many of us know it from whatever else we do, that you have a lot of good collaboration, Dr. Kriegel with Dr. Ravi, for instance, and all the other cardiologists, but all the other specialists. You guys interact.
Of course, we work together every day.
Yeah. And we benefit even when we don't realize it. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, Ms. Dorothy, we're going to have more conversations with you at Adasi. What you do is invaluable. We recognize how challenging it is for many of us, either as individual or as the loved one who's battling. So thanks very much, all right?
You're welcome. It was a pleasure always.
Well, for me, it always is. And to Miss Susan, look at that smile. I tell you, man, only a camera bracket could smile that way. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Can you believe it? And Wednesdays, like Mondays and Fridays, we have Mr. Art in the morning for the record. So we want to extend a special invitation to always join him and start your Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays the best way, being a part of the record. And then come for Talk Today right after the midday news. It's not going to rain outside probably, but if it does, go play it, laugh, look up at the, the clouds, and enjoy the blessings from on high. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.